I don't know how to begin this, but I suppose the truth is best told from the very moment it all began. My name is Eliza Morgan. I was a senior at Redwood High, class of 2022. I had just turned 18, had just submitted my college applications, and thought the biggest stress in life was whether or not I'd get into NYU. Life at that point still felt manageable, real, safe. But everything changed that day, and I don't think I've ever been the same since. It was a Wednesday, February 9th, 2022. I remember because it was the day I forgot my lunch, and I texted Mom to see if she could drop it off. She didn't answer. I remember frowning at my phone in the hallway, the dim LED bulbs above flickering like always. They never got around to fixing them. It was third period, psychology. We were discussing behavioral conditioning, something about Pavlov's dogs and classical response. The whole room reeked of dry erase markers and boredom. Then the announcement came over the intercom. A voice we didn't recognize. Attention all staff and students. This is not a drill. Initiate lockdown protocol immediately. Repeat, this is not a drill. The moment the announcement ended, a strange silence swallowed the room. Our teacher, Mr. Hartley, who usually joked too much and never seemed to take things seriously, suddenly went pale. He walked to the door without a word, turned the lock, and pulled the blackout shade down like he had practiced it 100 times. The students around me whispered nervously. A couple of them laughed uncomfortably, like maybe it was all a prank. I didn't laugh. Something in that voice, the way it said, not a drill. It wasn't staged. It was like it was soaked in fear. Mr. Hartley motioned for us to move to the far wall, out of sight. We all did, some more quietly than others. I remember crouching down beside Clara Miller, my best friend since third grade, and grabbing her hand without even thinking. Her hand was cold, sweaty. She didn't look at me. The minutes passed. First 10, then 20. No further announcements. And then, the sound. The bang! It came from somewhere near the east wing. One loud bang, like a door being kicked open, followed by a few hurried footsteps. Then silence again. Someone whimpered. It might have been me. Mr. Hartley looked like he wanted to say something, but didn't. We were trained for this. Alice training every year. Barricade the doors, stay quiet, be prepared to fight or flee. But nothing prepares you for the real thing. Nothing. I checked my phone. 1 bar. No messages, no texts. I tried calling Mom. Straight to voicemail. That's when the screams started. Distant. Muffled. One after another. Girls. Boys. A teacher, maybe? It was hard to tell, but it was real. Someone, Landon I think, stood up. Mr. Hartley grabbed him and pulled him back down. He mouthed, "Stay down." The lights above us flickered again. The screams stopped as suddenly as they started. Silence once more. Then came the music. Soft, a slow, scratchy version of You Are My Sunshine began playing faintly through the intercom system, but we weren't near the office. No one could have turned it on from our side of the building. The lights cut out. That's when things got strange. Not just scary, but wrong. Like the school itself had changed. I don't know how else to explain it, but when I peeked out from under the blackout curtain, the hallway outside didn't look right. It seemed darker, longer. The lockers looked twisted, bent, like they had melted. Then I saw her, a girl, maybe 9 or 10, standing barefoot in the hallway, wearing an old-fashioned school uniform, her dress ripped at the hem, her hair was in braids. Her eyes, they glowed. I swear to God, they glowed. I pulled back the curtain, heart racing. I didn't tell anyone what I saw. I couldn't. More time passed, maybe an hour, I don't know. My phone battery was almost dead. Still no service. Then came the knocking. Slow, rhythmic, coming from door to door, as if someone or something was checking each classroom. 1 knock, pause, 2 knocks, pause, 3. It reached ours. Silence. Then knock, knock, knock. No one breathed, not a sound, not even the sound of shifting feet. It moved on. Mr. Hartley finally whispered, something's wrong. This isn't a normal lockdown. No one disagreed. A low hum filled the building like a generator kicking on, but more organic. It seemed to vibrate in our skulls. Clara squeezed my hand so tightly it went numb. Then the intercom crackled again. A different voice this time. Don't look at her eyes. That was it. Just that. Then static. More hours passed. We thought it was over. But then our door opened. Just a crack. Enough to let in a sliver of light from the warped hallway. Enough to let us see the smile on the face peeking in. It wasn't human. Its eyes bled shadows, its teeth were long, cracked, broken, and it grinned at us as if it had all the time in the world. Then it closed the door and walked away. We stayed in place, paralyzed. Eventually, real voices came. Officers, SWAT, the actual police. When they found us, it had been over 5 hours. They told us no one had entered the building, that the lockdown was triggered by a system glitch, that all doors were locked from the outside. No intruders, no casualties. But they were wrong. 4 students never came back. Their names were erased from the school roster, their lockers removed, their pictures deleted from the yearbook. I saw the girl again in my dreams, and sometimes in reflections. I never went back to Redwood High. None of us did, because we knew, we remembered, and we never, ever looked her in the eyes. I never thought lockdown drills could turn into something real. You hear about schools practicing them, offices running emergency protocols, and you think, it'll never happen to me. But it did. And what happened after still haunts me every single day. My name is Sarah Morgan, and at the time I was a sophomore at Maple Ridge High, a fairly typical suburban school in the middle of nowhere. Nothing special about it except maybe the ancient architecture and the huge oak trees out front. My life was pretty routine. Classes, volleyball practice, weekend shifts at the local diner. I didn't have any illusions about being extraordinary. I just wanted to get through school and maybe get into a decent college. It started on an ordinary Tuesday morning. The sky was a washed-out blue, the sun half hidden behind thin clouds. I was running late, rushing into school with my backpack half-zipped and my phone buzzing nonstop with texts from my best friend Hannah. Nothing serious, just memes, drama, and the usual gossip about our chemistry teacher possibly getting fired. First period was English. We were reading 1984, and I remember thinking how dystopian it sounded. The irony is almost cruel now. Our teacher was droning on about surveillance and control when the loudspeaker suddenly crackled. The principal's voice, tight and unusually calm, came through. Lockdown. This is not a drill. Lock all doors immediately. At first we all looked around, waiting for the inevitable "just kidding" or some explanation. But there was none. Our teacher scrambled to lock the door and turn off the lights. The room fell into a strange, heavy silence. No one spoke. No one even breathed too loud. We huddled under desks. I could feel my heart pounding against the cold linoleum floor. The overhead projector flickered and buzzed once before going dark. My phone vibrated in my hoodie pocket. A text from Hannah. "Are you okay?" "Something's wrong. I saw someone in the West Wing, not a teacher." The hallway beyond the classroom door was dead silent. Not a single footstep. Not even the hum of the vending machines. Just silence. The kind that presses against your ears and makes everything feel wrong. That's when we heard it. A dragging sound. Not footsteps exactly, more like something being pulled along the ground. Slow, deliberate. Then came the faint chime, like tiny bells. Anklets. Not something you hear in a high school. Not ever. Someone in the back whispered, "What the hell is that?" But we all stayed frozen. A shadow passed under the door. It was tall, far taller than any teacher or student. Thin, elongated, and it didn't move like a person. It glided, almost floating like it was barely tethered to the floor. The chimes grew louder, then stopped right outside our door, and then the doorknob rattled. Not fast, not frantic, just testing. We held our breath. My hand clutched the edge of the desk so tightly it hurt. My legs were cramping, but I didn't dare shift. The rattling stopped. Several minutes passed, then we heard footsteps again, farther down the hall, but again not quite footsteps, more like scraping. Time felt warped. Seconds stretched into hours. No announcements came. No police sirens. Just us, trapped in a room filled with tension and the unknown. Finally, the all clear sounded. But something about the tone felt off. Hushed. Shaky. Our teacher hesitated, then finally opened the door just a crack. The hallway looked normal. Too normal. Like someone had tried to reset the scene. But down the far end, right before the hall turned left, a security camera had been torn from the ceiling. Wires dangled. Below it, just faintly visible, were smudged drag marks. When I met up with Hannah, she was pale. "I saw it again," she said, "in the girls' locker room." It looked at me, but its face was wrong, like it was wearing one. The school tried to say it was a safety precaution gone wrong, a misunderstanding, but footage from the security office was never released. One guard quit the next day, another was hospitalized, and one, we were told, had disappeared. Weeks passed. We pretended to move on. But those of us who saw or felt what really happened, we knew better. We started noticing things, lights flickering only in certain halls, doors locking on their own, and always, faintly, when the school was quietest, the sound of bells. I don't know what it was, a spirit, something old and wrong. But I do know this, that day wasn't the end, it was the beginning. And every time I hear a chime or see a flicker in a hallway mirror, I remember the way the shadow moved, the way the doorknob rattled, and I know it's still here.